What's up, guys? This is Justin with IGN. I am here with Corey, the president, and you say creative. you just told me 2 seconds ago, and I forgot.
I'm in charge of creative.
You're in charge of creative at Cryptozoic, and you are here showing off Hex.
Yes.
This is running on Kickstarter right now. You're having a lot of success.
Yes,
and I'm sort of keen to get sort of a first look at the game in action.
Absolutely, I'd love to show it to you.
Yeah.
Thank you again for taking the time to show it.
Yeah, no problem.
So what I have here is the opening screen. I want to keep everyone sort of set the expectation. This is pre-alpha, so a lot of these interface elements are changing.
Yeah, for sure. So you're going to see some placeholder art.
Yes,
you're going to see a client that is not quite as zippy as the final product will be, but we're still going to get a little peek at what you're cooking up.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hex is this amazing product in that it rolls a MMO into a TCG.
Right.
And so what that really means is, and anyone who's watched my Kickstarter video has heard me talk about this, is the idea that MMOs and TCG have something in common, and that's the need for an amazing community. Without a community of a large group of people playing the game, you're not going to find someone to play a TCG with, which is important.
Right.
And you're not going to have the sort of immersive and community-driven experience of an MMO without a bunch of people. I mean, we've all gone into games where you're the only one, and it's kind of a...
No, it doesn't feel good.
No, not at all. So what the benefit to an MMO and a TCG coming together is that the community drives things that you would see in an MMO, like an auction house or a guild system.
Great.
And those things, when layered back into a trading card game, become very, very interesting.
So let's take a look at...
So the first thing I'm doing, I'm clicking on the world of Entrath, and we have a full 3D globe system that you'll drill down into, and then you'll be able to go to towns and dungeons.
Get some lore, complete some quests, and explore this sort of...
Yeah, but to be clear, this is not a traditional third-person, three-dimensional action RPG. This is actually a card game, and so there is no running around in a virtual environment. You're clicking on different areas, and then you have a 3D, 3D painted element for the different cities, and you can click through and find.
And you're battling it out with cards in the end.
Yes,
that's what it's all going to come back to.
Exactly. So I'll show you one of the things as an example. You're going to make a champion, much like an MMO. You have a character, and you're going to level that character up. And as you do...
There's different classes.
Different classes, absolutely. And so you're going to level that character, different races and classes, and you're going to pick a combo, name him, and then you're going to have a talent tree. And so as you level up, you're going to be able to click through and spend your points.
Right.
And there's three different types of talents, and they relate roughly back into the types of decks you would typically see, like an aggro deck or a combo deck or a control deck.
So if you want to be a control player, then you might want to roll a specific type of character, or be building up a specific talent.
Yeah, but each of the different classes can play each of those different decks. It's just how they do it's a little different, which is a very interesting thing.
Right.
We were very lucky. We have Kevin Jordan, who was one of the 3 original designers of World of Warcraft, the MMO, building our MMO and class system.
Sure, I'm seeing a lot of obvious, it's sort of superficial influence, but the 3 different skill trees that people can sort of branch into and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, and again, this is all placeholder. We have the system's being still in development, but
for sure.
It really creates this interesting thing where you're getting, as an example for the warrior, a cleave card that's only available to the warrior if he picks that talent.
Got it.
And so what that does is it really opens up a true sandbox experience. And as I go through this, I'll show you more and more of the sandbox component.
Right.
I mean, you talk to any trading card game player, the first thing they're going to tell you their wish would be to make their own cards.
Yeah.
And so Hex is the first time you're actually going to get close to that.
That's great.
So what I want to do is actually jump into a game real quick.
That's true. We're on the live internet right now. This is no sort of hokey pokey, hocus pocus. I don't know. I'm saying words here.
I could very well lose. Let's see here. I'm going to pick a deck.
Got a few different decks here. And we will see. There's someone over at the Cryptozoic office that's hopefully going to pick this up.
Kyle Hewer, my producer, is the one. All right. So as you can see, we have a very beautiful animated game board. You're able to zoom in on all the cards.
Sure.
A lot of beautiful art. Everything you would expect from a real, hardcore trading card game.
This makes me think of, not to name drop anybody else, but Duels of the Planeswalkers, in the sense that it's animated instead of just being kind of a static 2D.
Yeah. And again, this is just there's still a lot of polish that's going to go into this game. But you can see we've done a lot of work to make sure this is the most, when it comes to playing a trading card game, they can be a little overwhelming. And so we've made a super slick interface that's going to allow even a novice to jump in and actually play this game right away.
Great.
So you can see I'm going to actually use a resource. And so in our game, the resources actually do not stay in play. They become thresholds, which are these little gems, and give me a 1/1, which means I get 1 power to spend, and then I go back up to this 1 at the beginning of next turn.
Okay.
So I have no cards I can use right now. I can zoom in and look at them, like cards like murder.
Well, yeah, that's important.
That's important. You need to be able to murder. So I'm actually passing the turn back, and so now we are going back and forth, and the other player is now drawing his card. And you can see we have a clock system so that people can't stall the games. There's a turn sequence you can see in this element in the middle.
And so is that sort of just, all the, again, typical sort of Magic the Gathering stuff where you have upkeep, draw, first main, combat. Sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, but one of the great things about our game is that we actually include your champion.
Uh-huh.
And so in this case, all of these resources I'm dropping are also giving me a charge point. And what's going to happen is the charge points are going to unlock a charge power.
Okay.
And so I believe with this champion, it's when I get to 3, I'm able to spend them, take 2 points of damage, and draw 1 card.
And that's unique to your champion, right? If someone else were using a different champion, they would have a different power? Cool.
Yes, and so we have 2 elements. We have a PvP and a PvE element.
Got it.
PvP is very tightly balanced. It's for the tournament player.
Right.
And so as an example, he had 3 resources, so he used those 3. He used his ability. This is placeholder. But what he did was, his ability was that he could bring this Blaze Elemental into play, which has speed, and at the end of the turn you sacrifice him. He's a 3/1. So he cast the Blaze Elemental. Then he also cast the Veteran Gladiator, and she has to attack each turn if able.
Okay, and so maybe you're going to get to this in a second, but can we talk a little bit about what we're seeing on the cards, what those different elements represent?
Yeah. So what we have here is the attack, the defense. It's things that are pretty standard to all games that are card based. We have the cost. We have the threshold. Threshold means that he has to have at least 2 of the ruby resource in play.
Okay.
It does not mean he spends those ruby resources specifically.
Right.
Once the threshold is unlocked, if he had 10 resources but only 3 ruby, he'd be able to cast as many cards as he wants with 3 or less ruby resource.
And is that a mechanic that's sort of that's across all of Hex? It's sort of like you need to reach this threshold of 3 or 5 or whatever of a specific color.
Well, there is a wheel of resource that lets us balance all of them against each other. So it's very important that they don't bleed into each other either.
Okay.
So the resource system tied to thresholds allows us to keep the integrity of balance in the game design.
Sure.
But also it makes it a little easier than just straight having to spend that type of resource when it comes to making multi-resource decks.
Got it.
So I now have 3. So now I have some choices. So I can cast the Death Dealer. I can cast the Claw, the Mountain God. I'm going to go ahead and cast him. So some of the things you're going to notice in this game, as an example, he has this thing where other orcs, when they attack, they get Rage 1. Rage 1 is every time you attack, you get +1 attack.
Okay.
So,
cool.
But you'll notice when I do it, it's actually going to change the card. And those changes are permanent. So if that card were to go into my discard pile and I was able to get it back out, it would still have that.
Got it. So you can maybe bounce cards with different skills
correct.
And sort of manipulate the game in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
And so are you, obviously we're sort of looking at some creature play right now. Not to pigeonhole Hex, but this does seem sort of like a creature-based game. I'm sure there's spells and, instants or whatever your terminology is. Yes. But is sort of the core backbone of the game that sort of trading blows with creatures, would you say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But that said, set 1 alone has about 350 cards.
Sure.
You're going to be able to make decks that have no creatures and still be able to win the game. So it is a full-featured TCG and everything that you would expect. So he's attacked me. He's casting another one of these guys. So
it's good that he's not going easy on you.
Yeah. He's not taking it easy at all, which is good.
Yeah.
So now it is going to be my turn again. I'm going to draw another card. So now I've actually unlocked my ability, which lets me draw another card, which I don't need to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and actually cast another orc.
And so are you concerned, it's hard enough to balance a CCG just at all, with the deck building and maybe there's card interactions you didn't really anticipate, but balancing that with, different character classes and special abilities with different talents, you have the ability to damage yourself and scry draw a card.
Right,
so, I mean, are you
very
worried
powerful.
about, you worried about that interaction? It just seems, I guess, maybe there's no other way to do it but pure brute force, but it seems very, very hard to balance.
Yeah, one of the great things about Cryptozoic is that first and foremost we're a trading card game company, and so I have a pretty good group of game designers that focus on making sure that the game is 100% balanced. We have what's called a designer and we have a developer. So the designer will come up with all these crazy fun cards. The developer says no, this card's broken. So Ben Stoll is our lead designer, Dan Clark lead developer, and they have done a great job. Oh boy, okay, this is not good. So this guy has Speed and Crush. He's an 8/1. So
wow.
Why he didn't cast that before attacking me, so he could have attacked just then, is beyond me. But I'm in trouble. So luckily, I have that murder in my hand.
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and cast that on that guy and get rid of him.
And so that uses what, 3 of your resource points?
3 of my resources. So I still have 2 left. I actually could have cast at the end of my last turn. I probably should have.
Yeah.
but I'm not very good at trading card games. So.
Well, also you're explaining the game to someone that's never seen it before. I'm asking you all kinds of distracting questions. I'm seeing you're getting an attack buff there.
Yeah, so they both got a buff. So it's keeping
because of the orc special ability we talked about a moment ago.
Correct. So that's keeping me in the game. I'm keeping the pressure on. He's got me to 8, and he has 6 damage on the board. So I'm going to throw a guy out to do a little blocking with. And this guy's interesting. Another digital feature. If he would die, he transforms into a pile of bones instead. So he actually turns into a different card when he dies.
And so, mechanically, we've seen some of this stuff in other games, where things hit the graveyard or come back or you put a token into play or all of this and that sort of thing. But, the advantage of a digital first or digital only game like Hex is that, you can show that in a way that other games, you kind of need to use your imagination. Or
the number of elements of design space that open up, like booby trap cards for us, mean that I can actually put 5 cards into your deck. You could never do that in a traditional physical TCG.
Yep.
It's just impossible. And one of the things we didn't talk about that you've seen if you looked at our Kickstarter as an example, or on the hextcg.com website, is the idea that we have socketed cards.
Right.
So we actually have the ability for you to have gems that you will put into cards that fundamentally change what that card does.
Sure. Stuff like that's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Beyond that, in the PvE side, each of the cards has 2 pieces of equipment associated with it that you have to collect through that experience.
Okay.
And those pieces of equipment you get to socket onto your champion, and they all have head slots and body slots.
Right.
And they actually really change the cards dramatically.
And that stuff, so that PvE experience is separate in the sense that, you can design some things or do some things in a different way that maybe wouldn't necessarily be balanced in PvP, but it could be fun in a PvE scenario? Or
Correct.
Sure.
So
okay.
One of the things that's really cool about the PvE experience is that the dungeons are really built as these incredible puzzles.
Right.
And so it allows you to really have a very different gameplay experience than just a standard TCG. And, oops.
There we go. We're that's good. We're back in.
So it allows us to do some amazing stuff. And so I think people are going to be really surprised. It's not just that I'm playing TCG matches over and over again.
Right.
The dungeons have branching storylines, and you're going to unlock special cards that will just be in your deck for that encounter.
Sure.
You'll be able to have puzzles. We have one that does like a little mini draft during if you're familiar with the trading card game mechanics around draft.
Yes.
You do a little mini draft as part of it, and this is all run by an AI that I should say. One of the things that we realized was that AI was going to be incredibly important for this game, and so we actually have a gentleman named Chris Woods who's the most experienced Tcg Ai designer in the world.
That's
He's
great.
He's done about 7 of them.
Wow.
All the major ones from Zoe.
I mean, AI is one of those things that's not necessarily very sexy, but it's so important.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
If people don't understand why one game feels better than another, or they can't really articulate it, there's a good chance that it's the quality of the AI that you're playing against.
And imagine something as complex as a trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of combinatorials in this, especially with all the sandbox elements, is in the billions. And so we don't have an AI that's scripted. We have an AI that learns how to play and knows how to play all of these cards on the fly.
Sure.
So it's actually pretty amazing what Chris has accomplished.
That's awesome.
So now
are you gonna chump block? You don't really have a choice.
Yeah, not really a choice here. So actually, I think he can't block right now because he's still a pile of bones. So if he has a trick in his hand, if he has some direct damage spell, he's actually going to be able to win this game. And that would be the only reason he'd send this in. So
you did have a roaring comeback.
Yeah, I did. I tried to push. I should have turned the pile of bones. I can actually activate him for 4 and turn him back into that skeleton, and I could have blocked again. So that was poorly played. But I'll use the excuse that, and again, this is pre-alpha. So
right.
This is what we would call in the business programmer art.
Yes.
So
and I actually saw some HTML sneaking into some of those descriptions earlier. But people understand that this is something that's still deep in development. So
yeah, correct.
That's very cool. So I mean, what else do we need to see? We sort of saw a sample, quick sort of sample match there. I don't know. Do you have anything else to show off today?
Yeah. No. The big things for us were to get people a chance to start to see what the game interface is like.
Great.
How amazingly detailed. Even this was just it still has a lot of polish coming.
Yeah.
So when it comes to playing a 3D visual trading card game on a computer, you're not going to have a better experience in any other game. Like, we will be the best looking.
And we're playing this on a Windows machine right now. Are you targeting any other platforms? You're only talking about Windows for now?
No,
okay.
Mac, Windows, and we just announced as our legendary stretch goal in the the Kickstarter, we're going to be on tablet.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love a tablet version.
Right.
You know, and I'm sure, well, I guess I shouldn't put words in your mouth, but I wouldn't be surprised if it looked and functioned a little bit different to make sense for a tablet environment. But
yeah, absolutely. Mainly, it is interface elements, so we need to make it run as smoothly as possible. One of the great things about this game, and one of the things I try to tell everyone, is that there are a lot of TCG players. But if you're not a TCG player, Hex can still be something that is very compelling for you, because one of the things that we're making a priority is that the PvE experience allows the best learn to play a TCG demo ever created.
Sure.
So we spent a ton of time developing teaching tools that are going to allow you to, even if you've never played a trading card game, jump in and learn what that's about.
It's great stuff like do sample hand draws and you know, see your mana curve. Well, excuse me, I'm a Magic the Gathering player, so I keep, that's the terminology I keep going back.
Curve.
Yeah, the resource curve. There you go.
It's definitely that stuff is all available in the deck building piece, but that's a little more advanced. What I'm talking about is jumping in. And it's going to tell you, like, hey, you've got some wolves. Here's how you put a resource.
Okay.
Here's how you put a wolf into play. Here's how you attack with a wolf.
Right.
Then the next one will be, oh, I'm giving you a burn. Okay, now you know how to burn a wolf, and so it goes away. So really walking people through how to play a TCG.
Yeah.
So
I mean, stuff like that's great. You have to trade the one for, you know, there's really no substitute for holding physical cards in your hand and shuffling them, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. You know, that's been very popular for, you know, a couple of decades now. But the flip side is that it can be very intimidating to just have a deck of cards in your hand. So a game like Hex, you know, that can really sort of ramp people into the experience, whether they're, you know, a novice or a veteran, you know, stuff like that obviously makes a lot of sense.
You know, and one of the big things people sort of overlook is the idea that it's pretty daunting to play against another person as your first experience learning a game.
Yeah.
And so this does give you the opportunity not only to learn, but to practice against the really fun AI and all the really fun dungeons, and sort of get your feet under you. And the game is free to play, so you're able to jump in, play for free. We give you a starter deck to begin with, and you start to level up those cards. As we mentioned, we were talking a little earlier, the idea that you can flip the card twice, and on its second, it's double back. You get achievements you can unlock for the cards, and you get to level the card up and become foil and extended art, and it keeps track of everything you've done with it, so those stats become an interesting thing later.
Yeah, all those sorts of details are great, you know, and I think that's the sort of stuff that you know, will help this stand out from sort of the increasingly sort of crowded, you know, digital card game space. None of them are going that I know of are going quite that deeply into, you know, those social and multiplayer features. So
that was the big thing. Like, you know, I was so happy to finally announce this. I was terrified someone was doing something like this too. But from what I've heard, everyone's been so blown away because no one was even thinking that something like this.
You know, so as of now, this Kickstarter is still going on.
Yes.
You know, people have, you know, at least a few more days, depending on when you're watching this, to, you know, throw some money Cryptozoic's ways and get in on the ground floor of Hex. But otherwise, when are you sort of targeting, you know, when the general population is going to be able to get their hands on this?
So our beta is currently slotted for September. And the hope is, and again, that's how the beta goes, we would love to get the game out before the end of the year.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for, you know, sort of coming in and showing us an early look at Hex, you know, as a massively multiplayer gamer and as a collectible card game gamer. You know, this is sort of in the Venn diagram of what Justin Davis is interested in. You know, we're kind of right in the middle of it here.
Perfect.
So, you know, I'm glad that we were able to sort of see what it is you're cooking up. Everybody at home that's watching or listening, you know, remember that we're always kind of trying to surface the newest, most interesting things going on in the world of video games on IGN. So make sure you're keeping it locked to IGN.com.